This estate sale is my first stop of the day, and everything is half off. Today is the second and the last day of the sale. Most of the stuff is vintage inside of this house. These just weren't in the best condition, and they have a really slow sell-through rate, so I don't like to pick anything like that up. And I probably should have grabbed those Pyrex pie dishes for personal use. I did like that toaster as well, but it was really dirty. I did end up looking up that flatware, and it has a really bad sell-through rate. Only 2 pieces have sold in the last 90 days. I always look for older cleaning supplies, looking for items that are discontinued, that are selling for some good money, and I noticed this Pledge orange oil, but it was almost all gone, so I went ahead and left that behind. It would have been a quarter today, and I probably, if it was full, could have sold it for around $30. I didn't find anything in the kitchen, but they definitely had some really cool items, and I did notice that the prices were really cheap. So I did spend quite a bit of time in this house going through everything, and I'm always looking for Cutco or older sets of knives, and I did dig through the flatware just to see if there were any better pieces in here, and there wasn't, so I went ahead and moved that. So I didn't buy any flatware today. Flatware is one of my big time sellers on eBay, especially during garage sale season. I pick up a lot of flatware. I was probably one of about 6 people in the house at this point. It was really dead. The sale started at 9 a.m. and I pulled in at about 9:15. And I was really shocked that there weren't too many people, but it is really, really cold out today. It was 70 degrees yesterday, and it's probably about 28 today. The listing for this house on estatesales.net did show a lot of vintage Christmas items and vintage holiday items in general. So that is definitely why I decided to come to this sale. And I did notice that in the pictures, most of the stuff is older. And those are the type of items that I like to sell. Older, hard to find items. Sometimes they have a slower sell-through rate, but the return on the investment is usually pretty hefty for me. So I don't mind sitting on items that I'm paying less than $1 for. So I didn't see anything in this room as well. So it was on to the next room, which was a really, really dark bedroom, and this hairspray looked old to me. I did a Google search and I definitely picked that up, and I left these 2 makeup items behind. I was hoping that they were a little bit older than what they were. And then I did check out all of these vintage linens and vintage towels, and I like to buy sets. I feel like the sets sell a lot better, or if I can at least get a fitted sheet with a couple of pillowcases, I will pick those up. But I did not see anything. Again, this is the second day, so I'm sure all of this stuff is a little picked over. I always look at vintage towels as well, and these Canon towels just weren't the best quality, and they didn't have a design to draw people to them, so I felt like they really weren't worth too much. So I left those behind. And I don't like to sell clothes, but I will look through vintage sweaters and items like that at estate sales. This Canon camera didn't have a price, so I wasn't sure if I was going to pick it up. I only ended up paying $5, so I did buy it. I left this Polaroid camera behind, and I just kind of skimmed through this cabinet. I really didn't see anything that caught my eye. I did find the case for the Canon camera, so I did pick that up, but I'm kind of straying away from electronics, and I know I shouldn't, but I just take forever to test them, and I feel like when I was selling vintage electronics, that is when I was getting the most returns on my items. So I've kind of strayed away from it, and I'm not too sure if I'm going to get back into selling them or not. And I did look through the remotes just to see if there were any big ticket remotes in here, and all of these are just pretty general remote controls, or they went to some of the electronics that they had for sale and they weren't for sale individually. And at this point, the house was getting a little bit busier, so I went ahead and put these remotes away, and I decided I wanted to go either upstairs or downstairs and kind of go through those areas before it got a little too crazy in here. So I grabbed my camera and I decided to just head upstairs. I did take one more glance at the electronics, and nothing caught my eye. A lot of it was already sold and it had sold stickers on it. So I do not know a lot about vintage Easter items, and I feel like that's an area I need to do a little bit of research on. There were a ton of plush, some pre-made baskets, and a lot of ceramic items, and I didn't feel like searching eBay or using Google Lens. So I just moved on to the next room, and I love looking through the bathroom at estate sales, and I was hoping to find like some vintage perfumes worth some money or something like that, but I looked all three of these up and none of them were worth more than around $30 if they were full, and none of them were full. That middle one was almost full, but that one was only selling for about $15, and none of these cleaning products are worth any money as well. So I went to the Christmas room. I just did a really quick scan of the room first just to see if anything caught my eye. Maybe there was an item that I've sold before and I recognized, but I did not see anything in this room that jumped out at me for being very, very old or worth a lot of money. I did use my Google Lens to look up a few items that I thought possibly could be worth some money, and either they weren't or they weren't for the price that they were asking. Now, I've sold this Jemmy Santa a couple of times in the past, and I don't think I've ever sold him for more than $25. And again, today's half off day, so he would have been about $6. But I went ahead and left him behind. The holidays just passed, and I'm looking for items that I'm going to make a quick flip on. So I went to the next room, which was the Halloween and like Thanksgiving, 4th of July room. And I did pick up a few items here. Now that guy right there, I picked him up and he was $8 half off, so I paid $4. And then I also picked up this Happy Thanksgiving sign, and there's actually 2 of them. So that was $8 as well. And of course, today I ended up paying $4. Most of the ceramic stuff was made in China. I looked up a couple of pieces, didn't really find anything that was worth too much money. I thought these pillows were really cool. You can tell they're made from vintage fabric. And then again, I just don't know if Thanksgiving decor sells. I've never sold any. I've never really done any research on it, and I didn't feel like standing in this room and looking everything up on my phone. So I was just looking for stuff that caught my eye that I thought for sure I can make a couple bucks on, and I did end up finding a train, and I used Google Lens, and one has sold, 4 are listed, and the one that sold for $50, and this is the train. All the others that are currently listed have the box. This one obviously doesn't. It was only $8, so I paid $4 for it, and I'm thinking I can get somewhere around $30 to $35 for it. Possibly not until closer to Halloween. And then I did a Google Lens search for this guy, and mine is not new with tags because obviously he's used, but he does have the tag still on him, and he sells for $40 without the tag, so that's why I picked him up. And again, he was $4. And then now I am in the basement, and this is like one of the rooms in the basement, and this one had all Christmas stuff, and I did find one, actually I found 2 items in this room, but I don't think I get to show you guys both of them right now because this is when it got kind of busy down here. So I just took a really quick glance through this box, didn't really see anything. And then up on this shelf, I seen this little tiny blow mold light, and I went ahead and picked this up. I paid $4 for it. I don't know if I paid too much. I'm going to do a little bit of research, and I'll throw up recent sold or some type of comp. And then this is another vintage decoration room, I guess you could call it. And these are a bunch of paper decorations. And so I went through all of these decorations. They were only a quarter today, and I figure if I can lot them up and sell them as lots, I should be able to sell them for anywhere between $15 and $25, some maybe a little bit more. So I took the time and I went through every single one of those little paper decorations, and just as I was finishing and walking out, another lady was here for those exact same things, and I didn't notice there was a whole bunch of jointed decorations like this on the back of a door, and she ended up purchasing all of them. But I'm going to show you guys what else I picked up. These holiday bags are vintage. They were only a quarter, so I'm thinking I can get a $25 to $35 for those. And I went ahead and picked this up. It looks vintage. I'm not too sure if it is. It has a spot for a battery, so I need to test this out when I get home and see exactly what it does. And then I pick up this little thing of garland. It's new, it's old. It was only a quarter. I'm thinking at least $10 for this. These are the type of vintage items that I like to buy. if I can get them really cheap, even if I flip these for $10 a piece, turning 25 cents into a $9 profit is a really good return on my investment. And I've sold these spider lawn bags before. These ones were dated 1990. And in the past, I have sold 2 for $17. So I'm going to go ahead and list these for $17. Now, after I went through all of the decorations, this is everything that I picked up. And I ended up buying 25 of these in this room, and they were $1.25 a piece. And then you catch a little glimpse of that door knocker that I told you I didn't show you, that I picked up in that very first room when I came downstairs. I didn't look it up. I just bought it. It was, I believe, $4 today. It was either $4 or $2 today. And then I kind of missed that there were boxes underneath the tables. So I go back through and check it out, and I don't see anything else. So in another room in the basement, I spot this vintage Sears ice maker, and it's for a refrigerator. It's an automatic ice maker, and it's brand new in the box. So I thought maybe that could be worth some money. I take another look at it, and that's when I realized that it's brand new. It's never been hooked up, still has the instructions. So after I looked through this room a little bit more, I went ahead and looked it up on eBay, and only one has sold. So I went ahead and left it behind. I'm sure if I would have hung on to it long enough, eventually it would have sold, but I left it behind. Okay, you guys, I could not record in the basement a whole bunch of jointed vintage paper decorations by like Eureka and another brand, but there was a lady down there who was looking for the same thing. She found some hanging on the back of a door, and I thought I missed out. I was like, oh my God, how did I not see those? Because I was down there way before she came down there. And I started looking on this long table in a different room, and her friend was like, oh, Jenny, there's more, but she was in a totally different room, and I had already started going through them. So I just started throwing all of them into my box. I bought 9 jointed, I want to say most of them are Easter, which is perfect because Easter is coming up. They were $4 yesterday, so they were $2 today. I spent a total of $49.75 at that sale. So I did really good. I think just one of those Easter decorations might pay for everything. I've never sold Easter jointed decorations. Usually it's like Halloween or Christmas, and those do really, really well for me. So we'll see how Easter does. But on to the next sale. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like a 40-minute drive. Usually I don't go to sales on the first day, but this is a family-run estate sale. It looks like it's packed with vintage items. And again, the family's running it, so hopefully the prices are good. And it's not too far from home. It's just right now I'm north of home, and now the next sale is south of home. So that's why it's kind of going to be a drive. So if I go today, notice that the prices are kind of high. I can always go back on half off day because it's not too far from home. Anyways, I'll bring you guys along, and hopefully we can score a few more home runs. So the sale was a lot smaller than what I thought it was going to be. It's actually in a duplex, and there's no basement, no upstairs, and the sale is probably about 400 or 500 square feet. This is everything in the garage, and I was kind of excited because the prices were reasonable. Nothing was overpriced out in the garage. Everything seemed like it was priced, like I said, pretty reasonable. And then I got inside and it was a totally different story. So this is a beautiful furniture set. They're asking $2,000 for it. And this is definitely not the area where you're going to get $2,000 for something like this, especially when it's not advertised. At this point right here, I already knew that I was not going to find anything at this sale. I just had a feeling, but I wanted to look through and see what else they had. You never know. And it looked like most of their stuff, they were pulling prices from eBay. So even just this plain Pyrex mixing bowl right there is $10. And usually in my area, an item like that is priced between $3 and $5. And this really isn't the type of stuff that I like to sell. I will sell this kind of stuff if the margins are big enough, but it's not the stuff that I enjoyed to sell. So I wanted to show you guys the prices of this Pyrex stuff here in the kitchen. So that Pyrex dot mixing set is missing the green bowl, and that sells for about $150 on eBay for the ones that are there. And all of these other items are just really, really expensive. Like that refrigerator dish back there, they wanted $50 for that. This Jadette mixing bowl, it wasn't branded, and that was, I believe, $50. Okay, guys, I am frozen. So that sale was so not worth it. The prices were really high, especially in the area I'm in right now. I'm in a really small town right now. So, and that is a very poorly advertised sale. So, the prices were outrageous. They definitely looked things up on eBay, and they had listed prices, not sold prices. So I'm gonna go home, lay everything out, and I will show you what I picked up at the first sale. So these are all of the vintage paper decorations that I picked up. And some of these, I have to do a Google search and find a little bit more information on them. Just doing a general eBay last 90 days sold is not really popping up too much. I could probably check out Terapeak, but as you can see, like these bunnies, these are jointed and they're pretty tall. So I think those should do pretty well. These little bunnies, they're jointed as well. And those Easter baskets back there, those are jointed. So that little bunny right there, the brown one, he spins and moves. And then I picked up a lot of Halloween. And then I did pick up these St. Patrick's Day ones just because they have like the mushrooms on them. And I feel like mushrooms are really popular right now. So I picked that up. Some of these have dates on them. Some of them don't. A couple of them are a little bit newer. Like that bunny right there, he's dated 1999. And then, but for the most part, these are all older. So I am super behind on listing, so I'm going to end this here today and get listing. I'm hoping to get probably about 50 items listed in the next 2 days to kind of catch myself up.